Good evening, everybody. Welcome. How are y'all? Good to see you all tonight. Welcome to our jazz and percussion ensemble concert. These guys are doing a great job, and I know that you're going to just get a lot out of what they're going to do performing tonight. Just want to remind all the students, this is a requirement for y'all to be here. Y'all are here to support these guys that play and make sure that you're appropriate and being quiet, listen, and plug when it's time as they play tonight. But sit back and listen, and you'll be impressed by how these guys are going to play for you, both groups, and we're going to make it go as quick as we can in between each one. So, without further ado, please put your hands together, make welcome Mr. Beck and the Athens County High School Percussion Ensemble.
All right, so that first piece was called African Sunwalk, and thinking about this program, I just was really thinking about world music and some of my influences on my drumming journey. And so we kind of had a little bit of everything represented tonight. That, of course, was more of the West African song for tonight that was called African Sunwalk, featuring a lot of our people on congas and djembes, along with marimbas, which marimba, believe it or not, is an African instrument. It was where it was invented, kind of more in the central area of Africa, and then, it's moved around. And now we think of it as a concert percussion instrument. It has African roots. So this next piece, we're moving more towards the, I guess, Western European, like orchestra tradition of percussion. This piece is called Mosaics. It was written by Jared Spears. throughout my studies, one thing that was increasingly important was just how important Latin percussion was just on world percussion in general. You know, when you think about Caribbean steel drum bands, all the way to Brazilian sambas, that kind of music is just all over the place, and it's the lifeblood of a lot of cultures, lifeblood of a lot of celebrations, and this next one is going to kind of present that. So this is called Calypso Jive. There's a little bit of calypso, a little bit of songo, and other types of Caribbean and South American music styles. And so we're going to have Aiden over here on drum set. We're going to have Andre over here on bass guitar, and Dakaya back there hitting some congas, and lots of cool stuff. So this is called Calypso Jive. So the last couple of years, when I'm waiting for the marching band music to come in so I can start listening and writing, Usually it's not coming in as quick as I would like, so I get bored and start writing stuff. And so last year I arranged a piece that we performed with our choir, but this year was kind of eating at me. I've never really composed something that was just my own. I've always arranged, I've always listened to something else and created music for that. And so I decided I would give it a go to write my own original composition. Again, taking just influences that I've learned over the years and people that I've studied with. And so this is kind of a combination of lots of different types of world music. With a little bit of African, a little bit of Middle Eastern percussion in there, also a little bit of like Asian taiko drumming, and then just Western European classical sounding music in the middle. So lots of different spaces that this represents, lots of different rhythms. It's kind of where I came up with the title for this piece called Spatial Illusions, and this is our home premiere of this piece, and we really hope that you enjoy it. It's fun. All right, thank you very much. So we're about to have a little bit of a stage change intermission while we get ready for our jazz band to come up here and perform. We'll try to make this stage change happen as quickly as possible. We will have a soloist come to perform for us as soon as we get it ready and going. So stick with us for a little bit.
So our next soloist was someone that last year became, I believe, one of the first, if not the first, percussionist in Apple County high school history of being named an all-state percussionist. This year he's representing us really well with district honor band and region band as well. And his talent just continues to grow. He's also one of the hardest working students that I know. This is his instrument. He gets to have this in his bedroom. I'm extremely jealous of that. And he's lucky I don't take this to my house the way this concert's over. But he's going to be performing a beautiful arrangement of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And this is also a solo that next Saturday, while we're off at spring break getting ready for Easter, he is going to be performing this solo in a competition, the Percussive Arts Society Southeast Symposium, being held at Lassiter High School up in Atlanta. So he's going to be competing against students from around Georgia, but also some from around Alabama and Tennessee and around our area in the United States. So he's going to come and perform it for you guys, kind of as a test run, but he's going to do some wonderful things. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Parker Johnson.
hand for Jaden and Kaden on the solo. Great song, old jazz classic called Birdland, and so we'll take you to a blues type of song. That's a good thing about jazz. You play a lot of different styles of music, from Latin to jazz to swing to rock and funk and all kinds of things. We'll do a little bit of that tonight. Let's try to keep it going. So this one will feature Sergio, and Gabriel, and Jaden on the trumpet, and it's called Basin Street Blues. Classical music didn't start in America, believe it or not, okay? But jazz did. In New Orleans and Chicago, places like that. One of the big parts of jazz is swing music, and this one's called Slideshow, and as you can guess, it'll feature the slide trombones, so you hear from these five guys doing a great job, and then it'll also feature Gustin on the alto here. my students over here, please remember we're at a concert now. Okay. Appreciate y'all being encouraging. Okay. Let's keep it classy. Okay. All right. We have actually, the timing is really cool. Tomorrow we have two guys going to the district jazz band. They tried out for in the fall and auditioned for and made it. And so that's Augustin on the alto and Jaden on the trumpet, which you've heard from a little bit tonight. And so they'll be attending the district jazz. Yeah, give them a round of applause. So they'll be performing with guys from all across our district on Thursday. Have just 24 hours put together a concert. It'll be phenomenal Thursday at the Valley State University. So we look forward to that. But we want to feature Augustin on alto. He's made first year alto on the region band, made tenor sax first year in the district jazz band. He made it on bass clarinet, picked that up, so he can play about anything. But when we get a chance to feature him, this is a beautiful ballad. I'm going to feature him on the alto called After the Rain. said, who's going to sing this? And Steve said, oh, you let Carter sing this. So if you haven't heard Carter sing, just use this mic, brother. If you haven't heard Carter sing, well, you're about to in about 30 seconds here, but you're in for a treat. Number one, he looks like Aladdin, and so when we did Aladdin at school this year, I don't think there was any choice. So it's a good thing you could sing because you had to do the part, right? So anyway, he was amazing in Aladdin. He's in the show choir. He's a great performer. And then he also looks just like my nephew. So every time I see him, I think like I'm seeing my nephew, like who lives in Jacksonville, Florida. He talks like him, he looks like him. I don't think I've ever told you that. But Carter's a cool guy. He does a lot. The band helps us out. And he's going to sing George My Mind. You're going to like it. Put your hands together. Make welcome Carter Massey. All right, thank you guys so much. I know there's a lot going on. Every day there's so much going on here at the high school and things you can be at. We appreciate you coming out, being here with us tonight. First of all, I want to say the percussion guys did just an awesome job. Mr. Beck, they've been working hard since after Christmas. They did a great job. What an awesome piece Mr. Beck wrote. I mean, just amazing. Y'all give them a big round of applause. They did a great job. Appreciate them. And these guys as well. Appreciate Mr. Perry being here helping us out and doing sound tonight. I appreciate all of you. Don't forget, things coming up after spring break, and we have our Faith and Freedom concert. It's April the 22nd, so it's 2 weeks from today, I guess. Yeah, April 22nd. So I hope you'll come out. That'll be at the Church of God at 6:30. Our symphonic band putting that on, and then on in May we'll have our regular spring concert and stuff. So I hope you'll make plans to be with us. When I got hired in Appleton County in when you said 1900, no, so I'm telling you, 28 years ago, 1997, there really wasn't a whole lot that they told me like, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. There's just one thing I heard several times, like, well, our school song is Rocky. I was like, you gonna fly now with Rocky movie? I love the Rocky movies. I was born and raised watching those Rocky movies, but that's your school song? Yeah, don't mess with that. I was like, okay, I have it. So we love it. So we're gonna close. We're gonna fly now, feature Caden Mack and Jeremiah on the drums, and then Jake on the trumpets.